The test subject had been we, the people, an experiment, how to control the mind, how to control the biology, how to control the psychology, sociology, and biology through complex algorithms. At that amphetamine research project at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic in San Francisco, California, they compared humans who were in crowded settings and used drugs with those of mice, or was it rats, in crowded settings who were injected with drugs. Ask David Smith if you have a need to know. The San Francisco project had the cover of being a study in how to lower the recidivism rates of inmates, the commutation of sentences for one such as he who said he'd be back in prison the moment he was let out in order to lower his recidivism was always doomed to failure. Always a likely story for what's proven to be a CIA cover through the National Institutes of Mental Health, or NIMH. The Washington, D.C. project supposed that they, the government, were now to be the laboratory and experiment compared in models to the mice, or was it rats? Should we ask David Smith again? The government did something like the San Francisco project right beneath Americans' noses. So the countermeasure was then for the roles to be reversed. The people were running an honesty experiment on the government. The people were standing up and demanding an end to totalitarian secret keeping. American flags waved in droves with red paperclips stabbed through the stars, the byproducts of Operation Paperclip, coming to some greater head 80-something years after the end of that terrible world war. If they could, they'd do BK Ultra in the 2060s and have it their way. Earlier the sooner, and it's considered the best. Military transhumanism seeks to control the biology at the root of its change. Evolution. A mad patriarchy stumbled upon the meld of human and machine and sought to cut women out of the picture. Then women sought to cut men out of the picture, and between it all, the sons and daughters sought to transcend transsexually those constraints. Woman-daughter became man-daughter to assure this full transition, as did all the other government officials. Who was Charles Morrison, later James Douglas Manson, later Jamie Douglas Womanson, was a testament to the evolution of identity. Like a caterpillar that became a butterfly, these different stages transcended each other. Ungrateful worse than dead, they're having it their way at BK Ultra, the ultimate in biology control. We made it look like the Jews did it. Then we made it look like the Viet Cong did it. Then we made it look like the Black Panthers did it. This time, we'll make it look like aliens did it. Then, we'll make it look like the Russians did it. I know, we'll make it look like the Grateful Dead did it. Meanwhile, it's just the ungrateful born. We made it look like the patriarchy had done it. We wrote piggy on the piggy banks of Fort Knox. Used biology to override our minds. Change of identity through change of biology. Mind control and biology control methods utilized together to increase potency. The tree of life, guarded by that double helixed serpent, those worse than dead attempted and never tempted to coax away the protector. There was the nuclear can of worms, but then there was the can of twined snakes they dared to open up, dared to wrest from who guards the tree of life. There are never enough open cans for these cans. That is a snake who does not merely take the form of the snake, yet is the instructions to make the snake. It is like the spine of the snake, all forms of life bear the mark of the two-stranded one. These are but the instructions that show how to do something. It does not contain whether that something is good or bad. It is neither a devil nor an angel, but the instructions to make either or both. These worse than dead who worse than died for plausible deniability's expiration. It is a totalitarian state which keeps secrets such as these so many years past the time. May we better than live the lessons these secrets hid. Plausible deniability has a plausible end that never justified its means. There is a general sameness between mammalian behaviors, but a difference in their nuance. Through the procurement of these top secret documents about studies of mice, or was it rats? I am not so sure. Perhaps we need to ask David Goliath Smith. Through their obtaining, we have gained the ability to transcend the social hierarchy. These military men push forward the idea of military transhumanism, that men will control evolution through the understanding of biology, sociology, and psychology. The meld of man and machine mean man needs to not meld with women. So is the dictum which undercuts the reality of their views. They sought to forcibly remove civilian transhumanism, alert and aware citizens who wish to guide their evolution through liberty, the individual's freedom from constraints of oppression. One sought to eliminate another sex entirely, championing the male sex over the female one. The other movement sought merely to understand the unique liberty within each individual and what it means in the 21st century with the advent of science's progresses. Charles, despite claiming to be anti-establishment, in fact was very patriarchal towards his women. Woman daughter had been very matriarchal. Now that is over. Now there will be neither patriarchy nor matriarchy. There shall be sisterhood and brotherhood. They're having it their way at BK Ultra, and it's quite a whopper. As they awaken post-op, so they realize they are forever the opposite sex. Forever they now know that a woman is not just a woman, and a man is not just a man. Because now Aunt Samantha drafted them into the grand finale of the Washington, D.C. project. A little tit for tate. At BK Ultra, we'll have it our way. Like mice in a rat trap surrounded by rats in a mouse trap. I am hungry for a Jolly West rancher. You see, they were our changelings. We were their fairies. The supremacists who identified with toxic masculinity now had to identify with femininity. The supremacists who identified with toxic femininity now had to identify with masculinity. There was no need to sterilize them with the advent of MK Ultra and BK Ultra. Change the biology, change the race, change the sex. They hated Mexicans. Now they were a female of Mexican descent. Did they hate Jews and Israel? Now they were a Jew from Israel by blood. They were reborn, the great gender reset, extremeness' own medicine meeting, reincorporated to face up to the fluidity of gender, uncovered of their great trove of need to know secrets, laid naked and bare to the truth of biologic sex. Who were men, could give birth, endured periods, were subjugated as women were. Who were women, couldn't give birth, endured their hatred of men, but had no period. Were told this was a blessing of their sex reassignment. A Kafka mouse, or was it rat into human maze house? I'm neither mouse nor rat. I am rated human, nor AI, beautiful nor ugly. I am not artificially stupid. I am one half beautiful, one half ugly. You hate and love me. I'm in a ketchup bath, bubbly, quite a mess, made of a mess, all on account of oppressed miss. An eye for an eye makes we on blind. Once was a rat in an experimental vat. No flies to lie, nor lies that fly. Metamorphosis of patriarch piss by the lies that die. Now wild Susan cat that can scat. Out the mice, was it a rat? Out from the hat. I am neither prober, not beautiful one, nor grotesque one, but I'm just the one you didn't know that you need. The Conbers have come to bear, it's a pro to me. I'm just the one you all need. Oppressed misses won't miss their mark. Seduction of psychological violence, the worse than death, of plausible deniability, the better than birth, of liberty, behavioral sinks. What a drain. Here is the one who you didn't know you need. Here's what you only wanted, not beautiful nor grotesque. The end of the beautiful ones and the grotesque ones has at last come. The inauguration of the Conbers. James Douglas Manson was once Charles Morrison, who is now Jamie Douglas Wilmanson. Cameron came on, another brainwash and the mind dryer cleaned. Some more electric shock treatments. B-scopolamine, some LSD, a new ID and biology. This is Cameron, guinea pig test for biology. As a man rapes as the prober, so he is a sow. A man was not just a man. The Neo-Charles Manson was a man, son, no more, but a woman, son. A once masculine toxicity to the cult, a personality had been reprogrammed to a toxic femininity. Through the inverse was either canceled out by the other. Charlene, woman daughter, became Charles, man daughter. The Conbers constellated around the couple undergoing AI-performed biology reassignment surgery. A man's world was being made into a woman's world, but then it was made into a world which transcended the gender dichotomy and even the constraints of biology. MK Ultra had sought to control the mind, but the end result of the transformations of a cult of personality into the contemporary had wrought how to control the biology and DNA which underlies that mind. Not just the mind as files to be wiped, but an entire bias of biology to be. BK Ultra, the counter program ran, executed to cancel out the MK Ultra 1. The Conbers were the end of the probers and the beautiful ones, the grotesque ones and the beautiful ones. A transhumanist transcendence of the aestheticism of art, though having been so many identities, too many identities, who was once Charles Morrison, could not remember it, who was once Charlene woman daughter, remembered it all. After full recovery from their surgery amongst former secret women spies that served the man's former world gathered all around, Charles man-daughter and Jam Douglas Wilmanson embraced. Acid kisses and opiate eyes, coitus and germination. Who was once biologically a man, now was an impregnant Wilmanson, mother-to-be of Valentine Michelle, pregnant from Charles man-daughter. The great copulation had succeeded, and the women's spies renounced the man and woman's world from the continuous Cameron interrogation techniques for that of the son and daughter. A wild orgy of the Conbers proceeded, inaugurating the end of the reign of the grotesque and beautiful ones. These should be our grateful dead, ungrateful of government experimentation, to have ever dared to use we, the people, as mice and rats. These are the grateful dead which I most abide, who are never subject to an MK Ultra experiment, but simply the experiment of the mind games with the heart in the sleeve. These should be the most ungrateful, worse than dead, who dared to use mind experimentation on we, the people, treating us as mice and rats. These most ungrateful, yet deservingly worse than dead, should in heaven be but mice and rats in some afterlife experiment of their deserving.